My screen.
Yes.
Yay. All right. So a total serum protein test measures the amount of two major groups of proteins in the blood, albumin and globulin, or albumin, globulin. I always trip over those words if you say them fast, right? They just don't come out right. So on the test, you're going to see them, and I know SAFM teaches total protein is a measure of digestion, but you have to realize, and this is what we've said over and over and over again, before the mentorship was even there, whenever we did stuff in the kit group, I've always said you have to add albumin and globulin, and it's just a calculation. Total protein is just a calculation. And because albumin, when it's raised above this reference range, so if you get an albumin level that's 5 or it's approaching the top of this range, it can also be a sign of dehydration. So you have to take into account, is your total protein accurate, right? Because if you're dealing with a dehydrated person, this might be skewed and this might not be correct. And if you're missing a number, it's very easy then to just realize that 7.4 is 4.1 and 3.3. So if they only give you one of these numbers, you can calculate the other one. It's just like a total cholesterol, right? You're just calculating, it's adding up of these two numbers. It gives you the total protein. Albumin is mainly made in the liver. About 90% of it is made in the liver. It helps keep the blood from leaking out of blood vessels. So albumin also helps carry some medicines, some other substances through the blood, and is really important for tissue growth and healing. Albumin is a carrier of thiol groups. Thiols are known as mercaptans, meaning capturing mercury. A single thiol group contained in albumin constitutes 80% of the total thiol groups in blood plasma. And one of the ones that we all know and love is glutathione. So the thio in glutathione is the thiol group. Glutathione function is one of the most critical free radical scavenging antioxidants in the cells. Hence, a low albumin level is strongly suggestive of a decrease in thiol-rich glutathione, as well as associated with increased levels of oxidative stress and free radical toxicity. And this website, metabolichealing.com, has a really great page on this. All right. And I will make sure that that is in our resources on the membership page. Okay. So the different functions of albumin. Albumin transports numerous hormones to cell receptor sites. T4 uses albumin as its carrier, as well as other blood proteins such as globulin fractions. Steroidal hormones can use albumin as its carrier to the different receptor sites. So there was a big discussion going back to glutathione because albumin is the carrier of the body's most ubiquitous endogenously produced antioxidant glutathione. So low blood levels of albumin will necessarily minimize circulating glutathione. Um, so then we got into a deep discussion um, back in Jen's mentorship about what happens when we give glutathione to someone who has low albumin, and are they able to transport it? Is it worth it? Because you and I know glutathione is super expensive, right? It's one of the to get a good high quality glutathione, you're usually spending a lot of money. So um, that's why a lot of practitioners will go with using the separate um, building blocks of glutathione instead of directly supplementing with glutathione.
Because of the cost or because of
Because
how the body will use it.
how the body uses it.
Mhm.
And especially if someone doesn't have a good albumin level, they're not going to be able to circulate it anyway. Um, so it's kind of, is it a band-aid? Is it working? And it really is on a case by case basis. Some people go in, they'll get IV glutathione, um, and that'll be a lot better for them. It is one of those things that, you can try it, but if you're not seeing any results from it, this might be why. Um, because you need the albumin to circulate it. Albumin is also critical for cellular and liver detox. Obviously, the glutathione was critical for cellular and liver detox. Albumin is critical for colloid osmotic pressure balance. So when there's a low level, it's common for there to be edema as well as aberrant blood pressures. Low albumin level correlates with catabolic activity. Low levels of albumin strongly suggest a number of scenarios related to liver dysfunction. Most of it's made in the liver, so it makes sense if there's low levels that you might think something's happening in the liver. An increased need for thiol-rich antioxidants such as glutathione, an increase in oxidative stress and free radical damage, an increased need for low molecular weight antioxidants such as vitamins E, C, and alpha lipoic acid. And then on the list is the dietary protein deficiency. So it does go back to what we learned at SAFM, right? If there is low levels, which creates a low total protein, you have to know your client. Are they not eating it? Are they not eating protein? So there's no building blocks for albumin, or are they not digesting their protein? So it does have a link to digestion, but it's not the only reason, which I know when I first went through that, you get stuck on these things like, okay, the only reason you would have low protein is, because you don't have good HCl, right? And it could be true, but it's not always the case. So, um, in this scenario, let's say you have a low albumin of about 3.8. You know your client's not eating protein, but they have a normal bun of 13. It's super optimal. What are you going to be thinking?
They're just not eating enough protein. Because you're saying the bun is optimal.
Right?
That means they're not dehydrated, right?
But if albumin is low and you know they're not eating protein, so you know that's the case, but they have a normal bun. Because you would expect the bun to be what? If they're not eating protein, you would expect the bun to be lower,
And I would expect
but
that
it's
because
optimal.
why would I expect that? I don't know why I would expect that, Joe.
So in this scenario, when you have a lower albumin, but the bun is normal, I would go back and look and go, is that true that the bun should be there, or would the bun be more elevated in that situation?
Well, bun is blood, urea, nitrogen.
Nitrogen. And when does it elevate?
When people are dehydrated.
Right. So if albumin is low and you know they're not eating protein, so albumin is going to be depressed, but the bun is normal, you could start suspecting that that bun really should be higher because there's a dehydration pattern happening.
I am not making that connection. I don't know why, but my brain's not working.
Too much.
Go ahead, Kristen.
I was going to say, too much protein can damage the kidneys, right?
It can be.
I mean, I'm thinking when you have these people on what diets were those? Atkins or something, that's all, whatever high
Carnivore,
protein diets are, it can hurt them.
carnivore, keto. Well, keto's higher
Yeah.
in fat, but
Yeah.
yeah. So sometimes these are the things. Sometimes things you expect albumin to be higher in dehydration, but now we've got a depressed albumin. So we can't really, and we know that we're looking at somebody who isn't eating protein. So their protein is these protein levels in the blood are going to be lower.
Joe,
Yeah.
how do we know that they are not eating protein
Because they've
versus they're
told us. They've told us.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
Right?
if they
We know
hadn't
they're
told
not
us.
eating protein because they've told us. We know our
Okay,
client, they're not eating enough protein. They're vegan, they're
okay.
carb heavy, they're avoiding protein for whatever reason, right? So they come to us saying, we look at their albumin and we know they're not having a lot of protein. So when we see a bun that's normal, you're not, and the protein level is down, you're not going to be using, albumin's not going to be showing the dehydration like it normally would. So a normal bun also could be elevated, that would look higher if they were having an actually good amount of protein digestion. So they're both going to be lower. The bun's going to be lower than it's expected. The albumin's, going to be down because you're looking at it. So elevated levels almost always are associated with dehydration. And it's especially true if other proteins are elevated. So if hemoglobin's elevated, hematocrit's elevated, RBCs are elevated, bun's elevated, or if the sodium and potassium levels are elevated, that's all going to be strongly signaling that they're dehydrated. But if they're not eating enough protein, those other protein markers could also be down. So this is one of those cases where there could be hidden dehydration because all these other blood proteins that you normally would think should be elevated could be lower. So the bun's going to be lower, the albumin could be lowered because they're just not getting enough protein. So they're not making these other blood proteins. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Why are we not looking at creatinine since that's kind of a finer, more accurate kidney function test? Why isn't that coming into play here as well?
I don't know why Jen didn't list it.
Okay, thanks. Just curious.
I think she just, started listing ones off the top of her head that would still be elevated or that, were more closely affected. Bun is definitely more, I believe, more affected by dehydration. So these are dehydration markers, not necessarily, these are the ones that we're looking at, right? When we look at an RBC that's elevated and we think, well, then hemoglobin's going to be elevated and hematocrit's going to be elevated and bun's going to be elevated, right? And in dehydration, the minerals are going to be elevated, right? Sodium and potassium, the different electrolytes are going to be elevated. But sometimes, in the scenario where we know they're not eating protein, all those levels could be depressed also. So we will never know the whole story of a person, but from just a blood test, right? You have to know the backstory. You have to know what they're eating. You have to know if they're digesting. You have to investigate all the reasons around the different markers. You have to understand the case, understand the person, and understand what reason on the list might be appropriate or inappropriate for them, right? Um, because a lot of times we just look at a list and go, oh, the most common reason for this to be elevated is A. But if A doesn't apply to your client, we go back to, it's great to have those lists. It's great to have the Weatherby book as a crutch when you're getting started. But as you become savvier and you start looking deeper at your clients, you can't just take a look at one blood test. You have to start looking at the patterns and the story and make sure it all makes sense.
Are you familiar with Dr. Z?
He's been coming up a lot lately.
Um, well, she has
She.
these new lab books looking at them functionally, and I have the first one. I haven't looked at it yet, but it has
Okay.
arrived.
It has arrived.
Yeah, it has arrived
On your list.
and I haven't, deep dived into it yet. But anyway, it's like 4 books, and this is one of 4. So I was just wondering if
Let
you
me
have
know. I have not.
once I kind of look at it, I'll share my feedback. I just haven't looked at it yet.
I did not. I did manage to get that Vegas book you guys are all reading was on I'm trying to think if that's the one that I got for $2.99 or the one that was free on
It's
Kindle
really
or
good,
Audible.
and,
So
and I'm thinking of maybe doing a book club with it somehow.
What book is that, guys?
Uh, Hold on.
doo-doo-doo.
How to activate the vagus nerve.
Mhm.
It's by Activate Your Vagus Nerve by Dr. Naviz Habib.
Oh, my screen sharing is paused.
It's really good.
Thanks.
I think like chapter 2 or the second section got really technical, so might just tell patients to maybe not get too bogged down in that, but the rest of the book is really good for patient understanding and very helpful. And in the back of the book, in the appendices, there's like
Totally lost me.
a daily vagus nerve checklist of things to do. And then there's like a weekly, and then there's like a monthly. So like I actually sent those to my assistant and was like, hey, make us handouts with these because it's in a very neat chart.
Nice.
So I thought the book was pretty practical and easy to read, which I think would be good for patients for sure.
All right, let me share this.
And it gives the physiologic reasons and connections behind all the woo-woo talk.
I have no idea where my screen is hiding, so I'm just going to start from the beginning and forward through here. Because I went to find that book so I could show it and totally lost my screen. Oh, so bless you.
That's my husband. He just
That was a big sneeze.
I think we're dealing with some toxicity over here. We haven't
You
started.
think? Hmm. Oh my gosh.
He gets his money worth out of sneezes, let me just say.
Well, we're up to almost 70 degrees today. Talk about this bipolar craziness. I'm still cold, but I'm like, after I'm done here, I'm going to go out and try and open some windows before the thunder and lightning comes. It's just like craziness.
And
Oh,
say it while you got it, right?
exactly. So, globulin, on the other hand, is made up of different proteins. There's alpha, beta, and gamma types. Some are made by the liver, while others are made in the immune system. Certain ones bind with hemoglobin. Other globulins transport metals such as iron in the blood and can help fight infection. Serum globulin can be separated into several subgroups by serum protein electrophoresis. So this is what that would look like. You take the total level of albumin and then you break it up into the alpha, the beta, and the gamma. And this is some of the different, this is like a normal pattern that you would see, but these are some of the other patterns. It's fairly cheap. It's like $8-10, I guess. I haven't checked recently. I don't run them often. Um, but there's a lot of different um, patterns that people, can get. Um,
Oh, I'm sorry to keep
No,
getting
that's all right.
off topic, but that made me think of something else.
Mm-hmm.
The Function Health. Did you
Yes.
know that the membership for the Function Health, that if any of your labs came back out of range, that you can run them again at no cost?
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know that because I just got notification that it's been 3 to 4 months
Right. Since
since
you
my
registered.
one in December. And it was like, do you want to retest? And I was kind of like, well, I don't know. I really haven't worked on anything particular. And so I don't know what made me. I just started clicking through. And sure enough, cause something made me think that I wouldn't have to pay for it. And I was like, well, if I don't have to pay for it, then yeah,
Right.
why
Yeah.
not?
Do it again.
And so it's only the ones that are out of range, but that's like a game changer because I wasn't really thinking that I was going to use it for my patients necessarily because it was basically about the same price as us doing it wholesale.
Right. But if they can retest the ones that are out of range.
Right. If you can retest the ones that are out of range for no extra cost. Now I don't know if this is for the whole year, but for this time, it did not charge me anything and I have the appointment scheduled.
It's good.
So
And
that's
I believe I got word that I can get that done in New York.
oh
For
well,
whatever reason,
definitely been.
it is available in New York. So I'm gonna, yeah, I'll take some time to look that over.
Yeah. Sorry, just
Oh, that's all right.
when you were talking about labs, that and I just experienced that yesterday.
Yeah. So this is from, there's a website I'll share. It does a really good job of breaking down why the different ones might be um, elevated. So if you do have um, albumin come back high and you want, and it's kind of crazy high and you want to go a little bit deeper into why. Um, and they're not dehydrated, right? You're like, this is not a dehydration pattern because the most common reason, that's the word I'm looking for, wasn't even a hard word to come up with. It's been one of those days. The most common reason is dehydration. Um, but some of the reasons for decreased albumin, wasting diseases, chronic infections, hemorrhages, burns, protein loss, losing, impaired liver function, malnutrition, nephrotic syndrome, pregnancy can cause decreases. Um, Listed there twice. I don't know why. Um, and then just the different reasons for the decrease in the alpha 1 and the alpha 2, increases and decreases in those. I'm not going to go spend a lot of time reading through these, but the list is there um, for all the reasons why things might be up or down. And this is the website. So I will post that one also. That's it. Pretty quick. But I really thought that I mean, it's funny because there's things that we know, right? And you get stuck on the whole, oh, if protein is low, look at digestion, right? And it's like, yes, that's there, or if albumin is high, look at dehydration, but really forgetting some of the um, the need for um glutathione when levels are low, or different antioxidants or different things, so just to kind of remember that these are proteins and yes, they're linked with digestion, but they're also linked with these other things.